What's going on, everybody? It's Zach here with Burning the Red Shirt podcast, here with Chris K for episode 42. We're going to talk a little bowl games, some transfer portal, and kind of whatever comes to mind with us. You never know. But Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I was hoping you'd be a little bit more excited about this. You come in here a little monotone, Zach.
Yeah, I'm a little Andrew-like at this time now. I'm understanding why later in the day he gets a little tired.
Well, I think Andrew would say that. I don't know what you're talking about. Later in the day, we always podcast
Right.
after work. But yes,
correct.
Hear what you're saying. What's tiring you out? Lawyering or soccer practice or what?
Honestly, no. If I really told you, you'd probably be like, "You are a loser."
Is it looking at Ben Wallace cards on eBay all day? Is it tiring you out?
I do that more than I'd like to admit that I do. But I've actually been grinding the hell out of FIFA Ultimate Team. So if people don't play that, then they don't know what I'm talking about. But I just packed a team of the tournament, Casemiro and Foden, both 91 and 90 overall rated, respected. So I'm pretty stoked about that. But so while I'm here, let's talk about the World Cup final. You know, how awesome was that game? Did you happen to see any highlights? You didn't see any highlights or anything?
I just don't. Okay, so a couple things. I don't really care about soccer.
Fair enough.
And I also was driving to see family, my cousin who had just moved to a new house, so I had to have the directions up. So I couldn't even put my phone on it. Like if I was going to my parents' house, I could just drive it and have it on my phone, but no, I missed it. I heard it was awesome though. Good for you.
I'm not trying to harp on about the World Cup. I just told you I would talk about it at least a little. But the game, I wanted Argentina to win, but I wasn't going to be upset if France won. Like Mbappe's super cool, Messi, like it was just Messi and Mbappe. Like you couldn't have asked for a much better final. And what I'm trying to say is I hope we get some bowl games anywhere near the excitement of that final. Because
I don't think it's possible from what I could tell.
Because that was absolutely nuts.
I mean, you have Messi is known as a top 5 player ever.
The GOAT now.
Right?
Yeah,
and then you have Mbappe who will probably right. People are talking about him having the most World Cup goals ever. Probably.
So I read something today that I don't know that I can disagree with. Like they're saying like as of right now, he's kind of like the Steph Curry, where like you could say after his second championship, he's like a top 10 player in the world ever already. But Mbappe's resume is up there. Yeah, he didn't win the World Cup, but he won the last one, and he's only 23. Like, you know,
it like kind of hit perfect timing with age, right? Like 19 is about as early on as you're going to be as like a key member of a
and he's already scored. Team. He's already scored more goals in World Cup play than like 99% of people.
Right. So what's holding him back would be what? Injury from like hitting insane milestones. Is that like a big soccer thing? Like do guys get like torn ACLs and stuff like that?
They do. It's more they say the fitness issues, but like really it's going to come down to like it's only every 4 years. So it's not necessarily having injuries, it's having injuries at that particular time. Like it's
right.
You know, he could miss all of the qualifying period for up to the World Cup, and then the World Cup comes and then he's out. Like that sucks. Like that those guys look to play in a World Cup for 4 years, and then when they get there and they can't, it's like super devastating. But
what a wild concept. Like I think it's amazing, but it's a wild it's like it's the Olympics, right? Like you wait 4 years, especially like, you know, with Mbappe, he's playing other he plays in another league, right? His club team. But like if you're track and field or shot put or like, you know, some of these other random stuff like volleyball, like you literally are only like volleyball and all that stuff you play and perform in other facets, but like it's chump change compared to the Olympics. What a wild concept.
It is wild. And then like next, you know where the next World Cup is, right?
No.
You don't know.
I mean, I literally told you 5 minutes ago,
You did.
don't really care about soccer.
So 2026 World Cup's the North American World Cup. It's a shared Canada, United States, Mexico. So
Atlanta wanted it, but I don't think we got it, right?
Atlanta does have
like a spot, but it's nothing like deep into it, right? Like quarterfinal or something.
Yeah, I think they have some group stage games, but they upped it from 32 teams to 48.
Wait. You're saying
they expanded the playoff?
They expanded the playoff? Like
they did.
Is that like forever? Or is it just for this one?
I think it's moving forward. So
that's some bullshit if we're doing it for just one. We're like, yeah, we're gonna add another 16
here's the best
teams.
part. Here's the absolute best part.
US is automatically in it.
As a host nation, we're automatically in. We
is
don't
Canada
have to,
in it then too in Mexico?
I think so. I think Canada, Mexico, United States is a joint bid. I think.
Well, I think you have the spots to give if you're going to add another 16.
Like, I honestly, I don't really care if it's expanded. That's more games, whatever. But like, I really don't want to see Honduras in the World Cup. Like, they're just not a team I want to. That's not why we should be expanding it. Teams like Italy and who else didn't make it? I'm trying to think who didn't make it that should have probably made it over there in Europe. Like there's like 40 teams in Europe that should probably be in over some of the
teams theoretically should make it, right? Because they just didn't qualify over all the other teams that did qualify
in Europe, though. Like they're qualifying.
Right. This is kind of like
it's like the SEC.
Like the SEC, yeah.
Right. Like so. So like imagine.
I don't like where this show is going.
Like Ole Miss doesn't get in because Arizona State played well. They qualified well in the Pac-12, but Ole Miss doesn't get in because they didn't beat the 6 teams in the SEC that are just better than them.
This is like when Jason Campbell went undefeated for Auburn and didn't get in the championship.
There you go.
That's what you're telling me.
So we're trying to tie it all together. Man.
Look at that.
So anyway, bowl games. Any of the bowl games that have happened so far that really kind of stand out to you as like they were pretty fun to watch or like just something that maybe didn't live up to any hype?
I mean, some of these games were, I would say the games that I've watched have been more awful than good. Right? Like I'm thinking, all right, here we go. I'm thinking UTSA Troy. I thought this game was going to be awesome. Didn't happen. Lots of turnovers, some guys banged up, just not a good situation.
Right.
UAB Miami was gross for the large majority of it. Oregon State, Florida, like Florida just looked awful. They kicked a pity field goal at the end to keep a streak alive. Cincinnati, Louisville, I thought they might not score a touchdown for a while. And then I missed a lot of the Saturday games that had some good games, like the Frank Gore epic rushing performance, the tight BYU game with the SMU comeback. Like I missed those games, but the other ones, the weekday ones, like the Marshall UConn, today's, I shouldn't say today, right? Like this week's Eastern Michigan game. They were all like, I watched it because it was during the workday and I didn't, like in my industry, there's just not a lot going on. People don't want to talk to me. So I just sit here at my desk acting like I'm working, which I am, but nobody's hitting me up. So like I'm not working. So I don't know, like, so for me, it's been underwhelming so far. Has it been underwhelming so far for you?
I would probably say that. Yeah. I haven't watched all of these games. The Boise game was actually a snooze fest until the second half. And they pulled it out somehow. Like it was just a complete disaster of a game. But the one game I think, if I'm going to sit there and say that like was fun, really fun to watch, had to be Rice Southern Miss, right? Like Frank Gore absolutely just dominated that game.
Just like the World Cup, I missed it. I missed it. I didn't watch.
I watched most of the second half, and I'm thinking like, dude, Gore is unbeatable. He's like, what do you do?
Yeah, I was at the Battery watching some NFL games and some different games, and then I just kind of went home and played some FIFA. Go figure. Nice. I say I don't care about soccer, but like I like the FIFA soccer game.
Dude,
like it's fun, but I just don't really.
I wasn't going to call you out because I know you play.
I play, but I just don't care about the actual performance of the real teams. Like, so I know some of the names, but I just can't connect the dots on a lot of stuff.
No, makes
yeah.
sense.
So.
And I just tweeted out the pod link from my personal.
Oh no, so we might get some actual watchers.
Great.
It's unfortunate.
Oh boy, but no, I think the other game that was actually surprising, like Florida kicking a last second field goal to prevent the shutout. Like I thought Oregon State was going to win, but I didn't expect that 30-3. Like I know Florida was on a backup quarterback and everything, but like, damn, Oregon State. I think people have slept on Oregon State all year long, and while they're a good team, nobody really just believes that they're that good.
Yeah, I think it was a mix of things. I think you're right, though. Like, I think, Anthony Richardson not playing as much as there is some debate about how good he actually is. When your backup that's playing is Jack Miller, that's impactful, right?
Yeah.
Then they had a bunch of other dudes not play in terms of receivers, a couple of running backs. What was surprising to me was the score with Damien Martinez not playing because he got hurt. So I should say playing so limited due to injury, and they did not have any issues. And they were missing a couple of receivers from the start as well, which was a little surprising. So I didn't, like I said, I watched some of the game, but it was kind of like one of those like bar settings. So you're kind of just watching from the side. You're not really watching like up front, but I'm not surprised they kicked the field goal at the end.
I'm not either.
Billy Napier is not going to, he's like, I'm not going to be the guy that's giving up this shutout streak if I don't have to, which is pathetic. And
that would have been one they talked about all off season. I think it's one of those that you just kind of look, just take the 3 points. Let's not have that all summer long. They talk about how the last game is the one that broke the streak, all that stuff. So I think that was, I'm not surprised either.
I think it's probably for Napier the smart move because we're going to make fun of him for 2-3 weeks. And then we're just going to go into off-season mode next season. Like if he didn't get it though, and he has a bad year, like it would still stick around, right?
Yeah.
Like it'd still be.
And the crazy part is, what if he misses that field goal at the end?
Yeah, well,
like a lot of shit could have gone wrong right there.
I mean, you have to take the chance.
They
went for. I will commend him. It's not like he kicked it. There was an opportunity, I think, with like 7 minutes left. I think I saw a tweet about that said, hey, the streak's on the line. They go for it on 4th and 4, 2 or something.
Yeah.
At like the 24, and they missed it. Right. So he didn't immediately go for it, like him go for that type of streak continuance. But I'm hoping that the future bowl games will be good. I think this Wednesday, the 21st, Western Kentucky, South Alabama game has a lot of potential, especially with Reed and Corley both saying they're back. They're going to be at Western Kentucky. I think that's going to be a fun one. Things always get weird with triple options. So like Baylor, Air Force, could be
Air Force is
weird.
Tough, man. They're a good team. Yeah,
I wouldn't want to mess with that. Like if I'm a like a Power 5 team, like I want to avoid.
That's the last team I want to play in a bowl game. God, or a Navy. Like no, because those linemen, like they're just trying to make it out of there, not get hurt, right?
And you're practicing for all this stuff, right? Like a lot of this is like the same thing in college basketball, right? Like extra practices, right? Just being bowl eligible or going to the NIT or the CBA or whatever the hell that is in college basketball, like in obviously the NCAA tournament, like that provides you extra practice time, which is super impactful for young guys. And now they're going to be wasting it on the triple option.
Yeah.
Like in the only triple option, Navy and Army play essentially the same type of triple option. Coastal plays like a cool triple
spread
option.
Yeah.
And Air Force is like its own unique. So like unless they play Air Force again, there's like literally zero need for them to
you just hope your athletes can out athlete them, really, right? Like I just don't feel like you're spending. I mean, you got to coach them up to defend an option, but like I think you just hope that your athletes can make the plays they need to make. But Moxley's watching. He asked why Western Kentucky and South Alabama is playing.
It's prime time,
9 p.m.
Anytime you
New
can
Orleans
get an
Bowl.
8 p.m. local time game in New Orleans, you got to do it.
Yeah.
So, you've been to New Orleans, right? You're closer to that neck of the
Yeah,
woods.
I've been in New Orleans. It's been a little while, but I have been in New Orleans.
What are your thoughts? You a big fan?
Not really. Like
That's-
food's great. Food's fantastic.
I
But
think New Orleans is a little bit of a transitional awesome, right? Like when you're younger,
yeah,
you're like, this is awesome because of the partying and stuff, right? The craziness, it stays up
that's
all
what I'm saying.
night.
I've transitioned to the work. Well, the food's awesome.
Mhm. It's got such a good, different flavor and taste. Like
Yeah.
I lived a couple of years young in Lafayette, Louisiana, so I didn't really get to experience it because, like, what kind of palate does an 8-year-old have?
I
you
have
know?
been to Lafayette. Did I tell you that?
No.
I went to the Boise State Lafayette game. What year was that? 2016, 27, whenever they played down there.
Mm.
It was like the first or second week of the season. And all I can tell you was it was humid.
Dude, it's so
Holy
humid down
shit.
there. Yeah. It's
Like,
brutal.
it was like 96 degrees with a 98% humidity. I think it was awful.
It sounds right, but yeah, why are they playing that late? Who knows? I was worried because I got a little bit we're going to do a little bit of a date night tomorrow night. And I'm like, I should say that night, the 21st. And I was like, ooh, like that's a pretty good game. Like I kind of want to check that out or maybe
Not
play
me
some
and Chris.
DFS.
Chris and I are not doing a date night.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
with my
Let's
wife
clear that
this
up.
time. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, well, it's at 9 p.m. Good to
There you
go.
Yeah.
So
like you said, Baylor Air Force, and Friday night you got a couple. Louisiana Lafayette against Houston. That one seems like it could be fun.
I think old school Louisiana makes that fun, but I
Yeah.
don't know how much I like Louisiana now. Like I thought Napier's
They're
Louisiana
basically
was
at home.
fun. They were really good. Right, yeah. Independence Bowl
Shreveport.
is super close, yeah. They're close to both though. Houston's
Yeah, it's not far
like
either.
what, 3 hours from New Orleans, something like that. So
Yeah.
not that it's in New Orleans, but like to give you an
Right.
idea of how close it is to Louisiana. But
Right. And then the other game Friday at 6:30, Wake Forest, Mizzou.
the
That
Gasparilla
one-
Bowl in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
a big thing, Gasparilla.
Yeah.
You ever
I
heard
think
about that?
that I learned about that. I don't know if it was the pod I listened to you guys on, or maybe I was on. I don't remember, but I remember hearing about it. Oh, no, it was this Twitter space. It was the Twitter space we did.
Mhm.
And I think it was Moxley that brought it up.
Dude, Moxley is all worldly over here. I have a lot. I used to work for a company that was like partially based in Florida, so I have
Mhm.
friends in Florida, and so they told me all about it. And it sounds crazy, sounds fun. But now all I think about is I don't know what the hell a Gasparilla is, but now that's all I think about when I see it. But
Right.
now we have the
I wanted, hold on,
dreaded.
before we go,
Yeah.
I wanted to actually mention this because I don't know if a lot of people have even listened to it. I hope you have by now. But last week's pod, you, Andrew, and Froton was outstanding. I listened to it. Like, I didn't listen to it that day. It was a couple days later when I listened to it, and I thought that was like, they don't even need me. I should not even be on a podcast anymore. Like, it should just be those three. Like, I should just be kicked off my own podcast. I thought you guys were that good. So I wanted to say that.
Well, thank you. I think Froton is just energy, man. He's just
Yeah.
pure energy. He's fun. It's like I have friends that obviously I enjoy. Like I value their friendship, and part of it is I could be around them in the worst mood. They will always make me smile. They'll always make me laugh. They have
Yeah.
energy. They're positive. Froton is that dude. He's hilarious. He's knowledgeable. He like genuinely would do anything for college football.
Yeah.
So it's like really hard not to have a good time with him. Maybe one day we'll talk pre-show antics, but he was a trip. He's welcome anytime.
Honestly, like he and Andrew were just like, it was just hysterical listening to like their strategies on playing like props. It was fantastic.
It was good.
But,
yeah. If you haven't
honestly,
checked it out,
if you
really
haven't checked it out, episode 41. This is episode 42. So if episode 41 was great.
And the nice thing about some of these more recent episodes is we've talked about 2023 stuff. So like literally you could listen to this in January and you probably would get the same value out of it because we're talking a lot of very generic things and ideas and concepts, and we mention at times, right, like, well, this guy's in the portal, or like if this situation were to arise. So I think what we've tried to do more recently is realize that like a lot of people have transitioned out of 2022 and just like are done with the year in a sense. So what would be interesting to learn or listen about 2023, and some of these more recent ones have definitely been focused on that type of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I know there's a bunch of bowl games left. I don't want to dive into all of them unless there was one you wanted to kind of
No, I think
about.
I will.
I wanted to kind of get into 2023 again, but yeah, go on.
Well, I'll couple quick comments. Andrew and I love the Christmas Eve bowl game, and what a bummer it is.
Oh yeah,
Middle Tennessee, San Diego State. Like that one's a little bit better than like the typical San Diego State because of Maiden is like an actual like energy type good quarterback. And then my favorite part though is Christmas, the day after Christmas.
Yes,
it's maybe the grossest, but maybe the best bowl game of the year.
Right.
Like this game has two options: complete dumpster fire, awful football game, New Mexico State Bowling Green, or 52-50 in one person. Like the 12 touchdowns are going to come from two guys. Like that's the only two options that are coming from this game.
Oh man, I honestly, if that happens, I will be stoked.
I mean, we saw Diego Pavea in like his last game had like 4 touchdown passes, and all of them were for like 69 yards or more.
Which is a good thing if you get that in Bowl Bash, because any touchdown 50 yards or more is bonus points. It's for those that are playing Bowl Bash.
Yeah, tell me more about Bowl Bash. What a transition.
Yeah. If you didn't know, it's too late to sign up now, but it's the bowl season long DFS contest we host on Fantrax. It's a little different than just your typical DraftKings or FanDuel. But you fill out full roster, 19 players and or defenses, and just use that salary and make the best team. But I don't care because I'm not playing for a prize. I'm just playing for fun since I'm the host and I set the salaries. But I am playing Diego Pavia, however you want to pronounce it.
I think you have to.
I'm playing him, and I'm hoping for one of those 4 touchdowns, all 50+ yarders. That'd be great. But let's talk about it. Like I played Frank Gore. Like I thought it was kind of between the 3 of us, me, you, and Andrew. Like all 3 of us would have played.
4
Gore.
of us. There's Moxley here.
Oh, Moxley. Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. I was talking about the 3 of us on the BTR team here that we would have played Gore, and surprisingly, Andrew doesn't even play him.
Yeah,
and that's
he
his
says
guy.
He's an afterthought. Like he never even considered him.
Like what? But
that was disappointing.
Right.
I played him. I loved him. That was one of the more early guys I picked. Of the guys I've used so far, I've used Gore, Tyler Levine, who I kind of had an eye on because I was looking for in terms of like pricing. I played Christopher Brooks a lot because of the matchup was really nice. And like
I had
with Hall and Puka,
him out.
Those 2 guys out, I figured, and he did fine. He was cheap enough where it was whatever. It's not a big deal. It just won't do anything crazy. So some of those options there, I had Taylon Green, the Boise State quarterback. The Helani stuff was interesting. I know you played him, but you probably didn't care too much to swap or anything.
It's funny. If you probably can go look, maybe you can't see it, but like you can see like the transaction history. I made the swap from Helani to Genty, back to Helani, back to Genty, back to Helani. Like I was back
How
and
cheap
forth.
was Genty?
Hold on. Helani was, I knew it was cheaper than Helani. Helani was, give me a second.
Helani wasn't that bad. He was
no.
or something.
Yeah, like 5,200 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he not? Why is his price not showing up? He's 5,200, and I think Genty was like 4,000. Like it wasn't much of a difference.
That's still a decent price. I mean, everything that was going on with
Genty was 4,100.
So, the problem with that was it was all speculation.
Right.
There were rumors. There was a random article. then people are trying to connect the dots of like, an older guy who kind of got banged up during the season and a little bit at the end. Like, is he going to play? He did play. I think he started technically, right? And got like 7 carries. And then he got like what, 25 or 28 carries.
Yeah.
So I don't blame anyone for not playing him. I know I think Andrew played him though, right?
I don't know if he actually. I can look, but I know he doesn't like looking at his roster. So
I think what he said was that, like, in hindsight, we're all idiots. We should have played him. But the guy everybody played was Jermaine Brown with Dwayne McBride out, which was a no-brainer. But honestly, we kind of got lucky because he didn't have the best of games until the second half.
Right, like that last touchdown kind of saved it. Although I don't know if it really matters since, like, I think 70% of the contest played him. I don't know the exact numbers. I don't have the spreadsheet.
He was so cheap though that, like, if you don't have him, you kind of have to get a little lucky on a couple different things.
Right. He's 3,300, and that was me pricing him up. I had to price him up to that because McBride. I had to set the salaries beforehand. Like a week before.
No, I mean, because technically he was named out 24 hours later, and it was like super sketchy. Right. I would have never played. I don't care how much Jermaine Brown was. If McBride was playing, would have never played Jermaine Brown. So I don't think that was a pricing error. But
no. What I decided to do. I'll just tell people kind of how I come about some of this. I decide to, like, if I have a question that a guy may not play. Like, I feel like whether he's going to go pro or what, like, I try to price up his backup at least a little. Like, for example, like Bryce Young, it was the speculation. Oh, is he going to play the bowl game? And then he comes out, he is playing the bowl game, but I had to price up Milroe in the case of him not playing. Same with Miller Moss, right? His name?
Yep. With Caleb
Williams. And they're saying he's on track to play the bowl game. So that was just more so to protect the pricing in general.
It can't hurt, right? Like, no one's going to be hurt. No one's going to play Miller Moss.
No.
Caleb Williams. So it's not like,
but if you,
I don't care what Miller Moss's price is, like, no one's playing him.
But if you had, let's say Bryce Young had been announced out,
right?
Milroe's minimum. Right. He's minimum. You got to play Milroe because he's going to put up at least 2 or 3 touchdowns, and he's a little more of a runner anyway.
Yeah. So who was Quinn Ewers' backup?
Do what?
Nothing.
Oh, because I didn't price him up. Is that what you're asking? Yeah, and that was an oversight. Let's just.
Or I should say Quinn Ewers. Is he the backup, or is he the star? Anyways,
I know what you're doing.
I'm just playing with it to have some fun. You're gonna miss 1 or 2 guys, and honestly, it's. I wish, like, DraftKings and stuff would do this a little bit, where, like, you gotta tempt me into considering, like, the option is average, the matchup is whatever, but the price is so low. I'm kind of considering it. Like, that's what I would hope that DraftKings does more often. Like, give me an elite running back against Georgia at $5K on DraftKings.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, okay, like, what are we doing?
Whereas if he was playing Purdue, he'd be 8,500.
Right. Yeah. Like, I'm not playing Blake Corum at 9K against Georgia. But if you put him at like 5,500, then we have some fun with it. Yeah. And they don't need to do it because they don't have to. Like, they don't have to spend that much time on it to get. No volume is changing in terms of, right? Like, that's all they care about is how many people are playing. Mm-hmm. And that's not changing based on that, but it would be still fun to experience.
Absolutely. All right. We can cut the Bowl Bash stuff, but I do want to talk about the latest portal guys, the guys that have kind of landed somewhere out of the portal. Well, first we had Colin Schlee commit to UCLA, which was kind of cool. Actually, it's really cool. I know Andrew's stoked about it. Then not long after that, a day or two after that, the guy, Dante Moore, right?
Dante Moore, yeah.
Dante Moore flips his commitment from Oregon to UCLA. Do you think that changes Schlee Or do you think, like Andrew said in the Discord, and by the way, if you haven't joined the Discord, please do. Andrew says that why would Moore do that to hold a clipboard for 2 years behind Schlee?
Amazing response to
Yeah.
Brandon Chapman. I think it was Brandon Chapman, right?
Yeah.
His question of like, why would he do that? I think Schlee's fine. I think that's an amazing fit. There's 2 years there, which makes it a little interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Dante Moore, I mean, I don't know why he's making decisions, so I can't really put a full gauge on what he was thinking. But like from the just general view of it, it seems like Oregon makes the most sense because you sit behind Bo for a year, which is totally normal. No one
ideal, really.
Yeah, right. Nobody would think, hey, something's wrong. You get to sit behind a 5th-year starter. There's zero risk, and Bo Nix, Bo Nix is gonna provide him with guidance without a doubt.
Yeah.
Right. There's zero risk to Bo Nix there. And then he becomes a starter in year 2. And all the other Oregon quarterbacks are not good, right? Like Ty Thompson never contended for that job.
Yeah.
And he's probably transferring to FCS school anytime, like any day now.
Right.
At UCLA, though, Schlee, it has 2 years. So it is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Schlee also, as much as we love him and think there's actual tools, actual performance on the field at times, there is a real shot that like he does not play more than, let's say, like 18 of the 24 games. Like I could see Dante Moore taking over at some point in the first year.
Right. And if that happens, does he portal again?
Well, I think I think
like what do you do at that point, right? Like
you kind of have to
play. Yeah.
Right. Do I think it's likely? No, but it's certainly possible. Yeah. I think Schlee would have to portal again, which is dumb. He should have. I don't know. When you're a talented guy, you should just go to a place that makes a lot more sense. And it kind of seemed like
UCLA made sense, though. I mean,
did,
on the surface,
made it sound like Moore and him were both like friendly enough where they knew the situation.
Right.
So what does that tell me? Does that mean that Dante Moore is sitting for 2 years and everybody's cool with it? Because I can't imagine Dante Moore is cool with that.
Right. When he would have probably been starting almost guaranteed year 2.
Exactly. And there were rumors that he was going to go to Michigan State, I think.
I wonder.
And he would have started probably day 1 there.
Here's what I'm wondering. This had to have come into play. UCLA being in the Big Ten had to have come into play, right? Like if they probably said, look, Oregon's cool. They're a great team, but they're going to be in a Pac-12 that's left bare. And I'm wondering if he thought, you know what, I would much rather play against Ohio State, Michigan, USC.
Is it possible he's playing the Travis Hunter game where he's going to give it a go at UCLA, knowing that he's getting NIL money for 1 year and then he's probably just going to leave anyways?
Yeah.
I wonder how much that like plays into it for people, not the NIL money, but like the fact that like nobody cares if you transfer, right? Like, so it's not negatively frowned upon. No NFL GM is going to say, well, I'm not going to draft you because you transferred.
Bailed on your
like,
team.
Right.
Yeah.
Or that means you're not good enough because you transferred at one point. Mm-hmm. So do you go somewhere a little bit more high risk, but maybe make some extra money, or you get some extra connections or something, and then you just know that really what you care about is the second year, because in your second year, you're going to start, and it's like expected that you're going to start. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I look, we've already talked about college kids, and this is a high school kid in this case. We definitely question their decision making a lot of times, but who am I to know what they've been sold to?
Right.
You know, like we can sit here and speculate all we want. And I wish Andrew was here because we talked about it in the chat. Like I actually hate recruiting. Like it's I don't care where a player goes. Just tell me who's there come fall camp. That's just how I've always been. Recruiting is not that big of a deal to me. But I do always wonder, like everybody talks about like, oh, why would he go there? Why would he go here? But you have no idea what they've been sold on.
Yeah.
and
Or
why
what matters to them.
and why they value one school over another.
Mhm.
Like if it's me, like let's say if I'm in high school, I'm going into college, like do I want to be close to home? Do I care if I'm close to home? Do I want to make the most money? Do I want to go to the NFL and not really care about where I play?
Right.
Like what matters?
Do you have to play year 1, year
Right.
2, year
Like-
3? Like, you know, like
There's
you
a
care
lot
about
of
academics. There's a lot of players out there that like. There's the whole
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson when he went to Georgia Tech. His family made him like promise to them that he would
Yeah.
graduate.
and like
Stuff like that.
What I find funny is people that will absolutely dog these kids that actually want to go get an education, and it's like you know, like oh well, they'll make more money playing football. It's like yeah, but that's not a guaranteed. Like you could break your leg tomorrow and never recover fully from that. Like
Mhm.
like if you're going to go somewhere and academics is important to you, like I fully
Support.
respect that, support and respect it, because like you know it seems rare anymore, but you know who am I to say why a guy goes somewhere? But
I think
anyway.
it's also interesting in the same regard, the whole like the Cam McCormick stuff from Oregon where he got the 9th year of eligibility, and people are like, hang it up, dude.
Well,
And like I get it, right? But like, and that's a funny, like great tweet, but like maybe he just I played baseball for almost 3 years after college, making literally nothing, like $600 a month
you
for
just
like
enjoyed
6
it.
months a year, which meant I couldn't have a real full-time job, right? But I did it because like I wanted that 1% chance, right?
Yeah,
Like I wanted that possible, even
Yeah.
if it was 1%, I wanted that. I
Right.
wanted to hang with the guys. Like I think I realized that like I'm super young. I'm able to do this. I don't have a family. I don't have kids. I don't have like a wife, right? Like things like that are holding me
Right.
back. And not that a wife would hold me back or
well,
whatever.
that guy's
but,
like 27, so he might have all of those things.
well, he probably has at least 3 of each. You know, if he was at BYU, he's got 5 of each.
Oh, geez. All right,
But my point is that like we don't know what he cares. What if he's
right.
What if he's getting extra degrees to accomplish his afterlife real full-time job, and also now he has no student debt, right? Like maybe he's playing the game better than everybody else, or
Right.
maybe he's not, and he doesn't give a shit.
What
and who cares?
What I thought though, when he got his 8th, 9th, whatever year it was, my question is, why does Oregon still want him? Like you're telling me that?
Yeah, is he getting a scholarship or is he not? Like is it half? Is it?
Does he
what is
hold
it?
a spot? Does he take a
that's
spot?
interesting too.
Because the way I look at it, it's like, okay, Oregon's like they're getting this guy for the 9th season, but what has he done for you in the 8 previous seasons?
I'll tell you what he
justifies
does.
him staying there over a top 10 recruit coming in. Like,
I don't think scholarship numbers matter as much. Like in terms of like, can we fit this last guy in? I think like
experience matters more.
I think for Oregon, he clearly is like a
locker room guy.
Locker room guy. I mean, he's got 25 catches in 8 years. Like,
right.
It ain't the on the field product, right?
You're right.
So there's got to be stuff off the field that they.
He's a team captain.
He's a coach that's a player essentially right now, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's value in that, and maybe he's getting a scholarship, maybe he's not.
Right.
Who knows, and who really should.
But I want to clarify, like I wasn't saying like he's not worthy of playing for Oregon. I'm just saying like in general,
it's a valid question. Like
a team that like gets like they go for this 8th, 9th, 10th year of eligibility, but what's
value
the
does he bring?
Yeah, what value
do
does
they
he bring
want
to
him?
you? Right.
It's an intriguing question. 9 years. And he's got 25 catches in 8 seasons.
But I guess if
there's
you're going
something
for the eligibility,
there that they like. What is it?
You go for the eligibility. He applies for the eligibility, not the team, not the school, right? So he would apply for it. So he has the option now to portal, I guess.
I mean, everybody has. I can portal.
I mean, like if he says
he also played it. People forget like the rules 9 years ago were different than it are now, right? Like
that's so crazy.
You can actually. I don't know the exact specifics of the rules, so don't quote me on any of this. But like back then, you could medical redshirt and then you could redshirt.
Yeah,
I think nowadays, if you redshirt, you
just
can't medical redshirt the next year.
So but you don't have to sit out for a transfer for portaling.
stuff. Yeah, for Portland. Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
things change. They're very different back then, but he obviously provides something. Who knows? And maybe he's for free, right? Like maybe he's not on scholarship and
Right.
he just wants to get another year of school, whether that's
Yeah.
tap dance class or law 407 or something. I don't know. Like, who knows?
Right. So I want to talk about a few of these other guys that have gone.
You
to
want to talk about the
portal.
9th year guy with 25 catches for 20 minutes?
No, I think we're good on that.
I think we're good on that one. Yeah, I agree.
But a couple of the guys that kind of the bigger names that have portaled and have found a home since then is Dorian Singer out of Arizona, the wide receiver going to USC. Seems like a pretty
That one
what's
like
the
felt
word? What's the word I'm looking for? The legitimate transfer for them. Like that's going to be a nice fit for him.
that felt like the given when he went to the portal. I think
Yeah.
everybody pretty much was like West Coast guy, super talented, good receiver. Obviously, USC makes a lot of sense. They lose Addison. Is Mario like? Is he a 2 or is he a 1 or is it worth just getting him because why not? Right.
Right.
So I think that one made a ton of sense from the jump.
Yeah. Travis Hunter has not declared anywhere, committed anywhere yet, but he's portaled as kind of expected from Jackson State.
Well, the hot team on this one, have you seen, is Georgia?
No, I haven't seen that.
So the rumor is that Georgia's pretty hot on him, which obviously why wouldn't you?
I think almost every team's going to be pretty hot on him. Yeah.
And apparently they were super close to getting him before Jackson State, just like FSC was.
Mm.
I would seriously question his decision making if he goes there for receiver purposes. If he goes there as a defensive back, amazing fit. Like the dude will be a top.
Could he not play both?
10 pick in 2 years. If he plays both, I will be. If he has to play DB, if he doesn't play DB there, then I question it because why would you go there as a receiver?
Like you're like DB1, but like wide receiver 4 kind of thing.
If he was a poor man's Charles Woodson,
how about Deion Sanders? I mean,
Deion Sanders is a poor man's Charles Woodson. So,
okay.
Yes,
hot taking it.
Did Deion win a Heisman?
That's fair.
Just checking. If he plays like that, like a even better Jabril Peppers role type thing, where you're trying to be that stud on defense, and then you have package plays on offense,
right?
Just basic plays on offense, and maybe you return punts, kicks, things like that. Then I think that's an incredible fit. If he tries to be more of a receiver, then I don't know, man. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I just think that you can go better places.
Yeah. Another one was that I saw. It's not a big name, but Elijah Spencer from Charlotte ending up at Minnesota seems kind of cool, I guess.
He could have been really cool.
Yeah.
What's up with Minnesota? What are they putting in the water? What are they drugging these kids with? Because they're getting a lot of good receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really have a quarterback, and they don't really have an offense that
Jeff Sims to Nebraska.
Jeff Sims in Nebraska is awesome. Yeah. If he would have gone to Minnesota, we could have had some fun. But he's at Nebraska, which will still be fun, I think. But I am confused at what I think good for Minnesota, right? Yeah. To be able to get that type of talent at a receiver. I'm really interested to see what else they do because you can't just do what they're doing and then not get a quarterback, or not change the system.
Right.
So I'm really interested there to see what they do. I think Jeff Sims is awesome at Nebraska. I think Matt Rule has a really good pedigree of getting, or really good history of getting athletes to overperform or to hit maybe their athletic upside. So that'll be interesting.
Right. Yeah, we already talked about Schlee, UCLA. There was another one I just had it here. It was, oh my God. Oh, I had Devin Leary to Kentucky. How do you feel about that? Everybody hyped Levis up so much. Is he kind of hoping for the same?
Do you think he's just doing it because Levis did it?
Maybe. Levis had a pretty subpar season,
but he's got intangibles, right? He's got the incredible arm, the tools, not the intangibles, the tools, right?
Right.
And which is interesting because I don't think Leary has the tools. I think Leary has been more of the actual game producer. He had that big season 2 years ago. This past season, he was hurt a bunch. He missed a bunch of time, and his numbers weren't all that interesting to start. But to be fair, there was plenty of time left to get it right, but it just didn't happen. He got hurt. So I don't know what the fit is there. I think they're going to be changing their offense a little bit. Raymond Davis committed there as well today. Or I should say Tuesday, the 20th, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
It's at night, whatever. We're not risking anything.
We're live anyway. Who cares?
Yeah, we're also live. So that'll be really interesting. They have some good receivers. Barian Brown, Dane Key. That could be a fun offense.
For sure.
So,
JoJo Earl to TCU.
And somebody else, Jake Beck went to TCU, I think. I don't know. And Max Duggan's out. So is it Chandler Morris?
Is it finally Chandler Morris?
Yeah, we need to not talk about it for Andrew's sake, so he can talk about it next time.
Let him talk about it. He's got a couple things he wanted to really hit home on this pod, and I
think it was BYU.
Yeah, BYU, and I think the Christmas Eve slate. Or no, I don't even want to spoil what his other topic was because it's an Andrew topic, and I can't do it. But
I think from a TCU standpoint, back to the receivers. I think those are some fun, talented players.
Yeah,
I don't think Jake Beck is like the craziest of options, but like I think he's been productive. Like he makes TCU better, 100%, right? And then the other gentleman you said, what was it? I forget the guy you brought up, but other receiver to TCU, JoJo Earl. That's an interesting option as well for TCU. That also makes them better, different type of talent in a sense. So. I think TCU's making smart decisions at receiver. They're losing a bunch of guys, specifically Quentin Johnston. I don't know if we really can replace like a beast of a receiver like him, but they're trying, and I commend them. Well, it'll be interesting to see. We'll know how good Chandler Morris is by if and who they try to bring in at quarterback.
Yeah.
Now that Duggan's gone.
So there's a few others that have kind of happened in the last few hours. Jack Tuttle ends up at Michigan. Did you see that?
Yeah, Jack Tuttle and AJ Barner.
Oh yeah, tight end.
Jack Tuttle, that guy's just literally starting his GA career 1 year early,
right?
And that's not a knock on him. Like, quarterbacks, they will go to a school. That's like kind of a thing. Is you go to a school, you back up. If you play, you play. If you don't, you don't. And then you have that in towards being a graduate assistant. I think that's a great move for a lot of guys. If you know it's time, that's awesome. We kind of talked about that earlier. AJ Barner is super interesting because that actually has some fantasy impact because Colston Loveland has been an awesome option. How much does that hurt him in the future? You know, AJ Barner is like
Eric All left, right?
Eric All's at Iowa,
right? Which seems like a really good fit for him too.
May or may not go to the NFL. I don't remember or know if that's been announced or if I'm just making that up. But like now that tight end room is getting a little bit crowded. But I think they might use Colston a little bit differently than their typical tight ends. Like he's not as like thick and big, and who knows what happens in the offseason, but they might use him a little bit differently next year. But I think Barner's an interesting ad.
Yeah. Kobe Pace, running back from Clemson to UVA. I don't know how fun that really is. Reports are saying, go ahead.
He probably gets playing time. I just don't know if anybody wants any piece of that offense.
Yeah.
You know, like Hollins was just never really worth much.
Yeah. So there's another one that it probably won't surprise anyone. Ajayi Hall back in the portal. The rumor is he's back in the portal from Texas.
Surprises nobody. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that. I did see Trey Knox end up at South Carolina.
Is that like a from Arkansas? Jaheim Bell?
Yeah, because he left, right? He portaled, right?
He and a small school guy at Shorter, which is in Rome, Georgia, up the street from me, about an hour. Both went to FSU, and I think his name is Murdoch or Murlock from Shorter. He's like a Dallas Goddard type. You know, like he's like it seems like a really good with his hands. I don't think the offense was passing. I think in the past it's historically been triple option,
right?
But he was like pretty talked up all season, and eventually hit the portal.
Yeah.
Bell went to FSU, and then he declared for FSU, which was super interesting. So I'm curious what Mike Norvell is going to do with that.
Yeah. Another last one I've got really right here. Arkansas receiver Ketron Jackson committed to Baylor. I'm just reading the 24/7 portal Twitter feed, so it's just easier to run down that list. But Sam Vidlak, Boise State quarterback, has entered the portal. That's 2 Boise State. Actually, if you want to count Jack Sears, that's 3 Boise State quarterbacks in the portal.
wait, is Sears?
How long can you be in the portal? Can you just live in the portal?
Or do you have to get lost in the portal? He's lost in the portal. We can't. Bangkok's got him now.
Like I'm just wondering how that goes about. Like you go to the portal and then you don't commit anywhere.
Well,
like,
you're supposed to. Like the portal ends.
Yeah, it's like a window,
a week or 3, right? And then it reopens,
right?
At the end of
spring. Like if it shuts, if the portal window shuts, are you stuck in the portal? Like how does this work? Like is Jack Sears eligible to transfer still? That's all I need to know.
I think it's all weird how this works, right? Like because I think technically, and I don't know the full bylaws of all this, like you are able to announce you're in the portal and have committed to somewhere from the portal for the next 1 to 3 weeks or whatever that date is, then I think technically you can't make a commitment to a school in the next, like those next 4 or 5 months until the end of spring, and then it reopens.
God, that's gotta be grueling. Like if you know where you want to go and you really want to just
all that's BS though, right? Because like if you're the coach of Auburn, we're gonna talk on the side anyways and be like, yo, I'm coming to you, you're coming to me, okay, cool.
Right.
It's all semantics.
Yeah.
Have you seen the UTSA head coach's comments on the portal?
I think I saw. Was it
that one about
he's got guys that are like trying to get poached,
being tampered with?
Yeah. That I actually have a problem with. Like
then you know who else brought it up was oh man, was it?
I saw it today. No, I saw it today.
It's a Northern coach.
No, they were talking about. I just saw it. It was Drake May. They were talking about Drake May was offered like $5 million plus for
Narduzzi. Pat Narduzzi from Pitt said, "I know of 2 different schools that we're going to commit, or I should say, we're going to pay Drake May $5 million."
Right.
And he knows who they are. He wasn't going to say them. Somebody rumored to say one of them was SEC. They probably are both SEC, but
right.
And that so I want to hear your thoughts on the whole, both between the UTSA head coach and Narduzzi's comments and just the general idea of May getting offered $5 million, etc.
So I don't have a problem with other schools recruiting you, but I have a problem with it when you could easily go to the portal and be recruited, right? You've chosen to stay there. There should be some limitation on, like, you should not be being talked to by other schools if I'm not in the portal, period. And if you're caught doing it, there should be some punishment,
repercussions.
Yeah, right. Like, because at this point, I mean, we know what happens. We know that people talk, that you can't officially say that, a text message or a Zoom call that we had, nobody knows about, right? But if it's out there that you're talking to this kid and he's trying to stay, you're almost harassing the kid to leave. Again, I don't know all the details, but if he's offered $5 million and isn't going, he seems pretty steadfast at North Carolina, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I would say, I think there's 2 parts to that, and I agree with you. I think
I have no problem with the portal. The portal's a great thing. I think it's great for
I agree. 100%.
The freedom of these kids to do what they want to do, but to do it in
everybody should be allowed to transfer as many times as they want. I don't have any issue with any of that. I have an issue with coaches and people like harassing players, as you said, right? Like, I don't think that happens that much, but I'm sure there's there's that instance where you're peer pressuring, you're pushing them, and like you got to remember back to when you were like 18 to 22, like you're very much
impressionable.
Yeah, you can easily persuade it.
Yeah.
But also I think that like it's like if I'm super happy at Pitt and I got guys like talking me up and persuading me and stuff, like yes, I think it's in a sense it's positive to have someone be able to show you, hey, we have this opportunity here and you should check it out. But also too that like it's kind of sleazy. Like it's kind of wrong in that like I don't know. There's not really a great way to prove it. So like who knows how
here's something else that I think that kind of gets lost in a lot of the portal is that what do the people, the kids on the current team feel about you guys recruiting these other kids basically to replace you? Like, how does that work? The dynamics of that work when they come in? Like, if you're in line to start at quarterback, right? Like, let's say with Chandler Morris, let's use that one for example. Duggan leaves. Chandler Morris is in line to start, and then let's say they go get, I don't know, let's say Devin Leary decided to go to TCU. Chandler Morris is like, well, what the hell? Like,
that's just kind of how it is, right? Like you kind of have to read the tea leaves and
like I've been here for 2 years learning the system, doing all this work, and you're going to trust a guy just because he's played well somewhere else to come in and do this. To me, you got to be careful, in my opinion, with just going free will in the portal, because it could ruin a locker room as much as it can add to your talent.
Well, I think it goes all the different ways, right? Like you always have to be conscious of what your intentions are as a coach, because if you're potentially trying to replace a quarterback, that's pretty big. Like that's like that's a one player type thing, right?
And I'm not saying it's not justified.
Right.
It could be the right thing in terms of like getting the best player for the position. But if you have
repercussions. And it goes both ways, right? Like if I'll tell you this, if I'm Chandler Morris and I hear that Sonny Dykes is asking around trying to talk about quarterbacks, and especially if they're not proven, right? Like there's one thing to try to get Drake May to your school.
Right.
It's another to try to get Malik Hornsby, right? Like, and I think Malik Hornsby could be a good, fun college quarterback, right? Pending where he fits and all that stuff. But like, there are clear differences. If I'm Chandler Morris, I'm like, bro, I've been here for 2-3 years, and you're just going to grab a guy that has proven nothing. If anything, has looked kind of bad in a different offense, and you want him, you read the tea leaves and you roll out. But like, I think there's some repercussions on all sides by this, and we're all trying to learn it a little bit, right? Like, I think the transfer portal will be different in 3 to 5 years than it is now. Maybe in some nuances, maybe in some like rules, right? Like tampering type rules.
Yeah.
You know, somebody, and I don't want to go, I would never think it would go this far, but like somebody in those mentions of it was like, we'll start finding the coaches if they tamper, right? Because that was that Taylor, I think it was Jeff Taylor, right? UTSA. Like, well, find the coaches if they do stuff like that. Like in the NFL, you lose draft picks. You get those big fines. That's not going to ever happen in college football. But like there could be some situations where it becomes interesting. You lose 5 scholarships and stuff like that. You know, like that would become enough to like stop screwing around. But
a bowl ban.
I think, right? You lose. I mean, we'll see what happens. There's a lot that could change, right? Like 5 years ago, a lot of different things in college football were different. So we'll see what happens. But I think overarching, I think the transfer portal is a positive.
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's like an opportunity. The way I view it is like, okay, season's over, windows open for you to jump in the portal. If you're gonna go now. That way, it's kind of, it gives the teams, the schools, like I know people don't care, but like, oh, coaches can leave whenever they want. Like I get that argument, but at the same time, you have to field a team, and if everybody just transfers whenever the hell they want, how do you even know what you have to field the team? You know, get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like you need to have a set window. Say, look, if you want to transfer, go. We're gonna go recruit in the portal. We'll do that. Now we know what we have and what we need moving forward versus it's just a free for all. Just everybody could go whenever the hell they want to go. I think they've kind of done it right, believe it or not, in terms of.
I think they've done a lot of things right with
Yeah.
it. I think there's probably some fine tuning for sure
Yeah.
they could do. But before we depart, I gotta. This is big. Blake Corum says he's 50-50 on what he wants to do. So I'm curious, what do you think your 50-50 is? What do you think? Where do you think he goes? Do you think he goes to the NFL, or do you think he comes back? He has to make a decision. Full context of the situation is he had some sort of knee surgery in December. I think early December, it's safe to say.
Yeah.
He has until like mid-January, like January 15, 16, 17, something like that, to decide. So
when's he supposed to recover? When's his full recovery supposed to be?
We don't know.
Like roughly,
they have not. No one has disclosed, as far as I know. They have not disclosed.
So they haven't disclosed what his actual injury was.
Did he tear his ACL? Was it an MCL? Was it a PCL?
Meniscus?
An LCL? A CCL? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Well, maybe people know, but they just haven't said, or I haven't found it.
My gut says he goes pro.
Okay.
And I just feel like as a running back, the quarterbacks are a little different because quarterbacks, in my opinion, can improve their stock by coming back.
Play till they're like 42.
Yeah, they can improve their stock by coming back. Whereas a running back, you might have a better season, but now you have 300 more carries on those legs.
Mm-hmm.
And NFL teams like, you know what? You had a knee injury.
Age matters for sure.
You did come back. You had a great season. That's great. But when's that knee going to go out again? Like I feel like that's always in the back of their mind with a running back, that I think I want the less mileage. It's like when you're buying a car. Like, would you rather have the car that looks nice and performs, but it's got 80,000 miles on it? Or do you want the car that, maybe it's not as nice, but it's a little more reliable and only has 20,000 miles on it?
I think just overall, right? Like who's the time for a running back is shorter.
Yeah.
So I think that matters.
They say what the average lifespan of a running back in the NFL is like 3 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not even a full contract.
Yeah. I mean, you look at like guys like Todd Gurley and, like David Johnson's traded for like a big pick and
never
player. Recovered. And then all of a sudden he's like literally unheard of again. Like it is. I mean, you see guys like Chip Trayanum from Arizona State. He was a great running back at Arizona State. He transfers to Ohio State to be a linebacker, right? Like that's a real thing that a running back is considered not valued in the same way as other positions.
Because in the NFL, the big positions that you have, quarterback, defensive end, or edge rusher, right? Or your left tackle. Those are kind of like the three big.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other one that's I was going to say in corner is that other one that's really being valued highly right now.
Yeah.
We're not NFL guys by any means, but that's just kind of what it seems. I mean, you can look at the drafts, right? Like Stingley and Sauce Gardner were picked 3-4 after two pass rushers.
I mean, you could see just like how look at some quarterbacks get drafted top 10 and they're like, there's no way that guy should even be in the first round. But the way they value a quarterback or where they value an edge rusher is, like Thibodeau from Oregon, he didn't even play much that last season at Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he's looked good.
He's a stud. But like in the day, like he didn't even really have to prove himself because his raw, I guess, measurements and all that stuff is there. Like his measurables, that's what I meant to say. Measurables, they're all there. And they would much rather take that chance on that position that's very hard to find than to take a running back that, there's a bunch of good running backs. Like, let's face it. Like, if you look throughout college football right now, we like Corum. Corum's great. Corum's top 3 running back, right? But what's the difference between him and, number 10 running back? Probably not enough for an NFL team to say, you know what, I'm taking him top 5.
Right. I think with Corum,
but I think he goes pro. That's just my gut.
I think he goes. I lean he comes back, and I think it's for selfish college reasons. Like I think that he's just like a big Michigan guy. You know, he got hurt. He really didn't like I can't remember. Did he play in the Ohio State game last year? Like I don't think so. And if he did, it was barely. Then he barely played in the game against Georgia. They got whomped, right? And then he got hurt against Illinois, didn't play against Ohio State, and he's not going to play in the playoffs, right?
Right.
And I foresee him being a guy, which I love this type of mentality where it's like my career, I never beat Ohio State really, right? Like he was never really a part of it. And I lost in the playoff and I wasn't a part of. I think there's going to be those like stubborn, selfish reasons that are great, like motivational type situations where it's like, I have other things left to prove here. Now, the smart move is really, unless his knee surgery, and the knee surgery also like pushes him to returning because he's a guy that needs a combine. Like he needs to do stuff. Is he going to be ready for it? Is he going to be prepared for it? Is he going to have the training for it? Like he can't run a 4.6. Like if he runs like a 4.6, 4.65 or something, like he's a 4th or 5th rounder. And at that point, what's the point? Just come back, you know, in a sense.
Which is dumb, by the way. 4.6, like act like that's slow. And for a running back, like, come on, like
just hit a hole and make it be good, right? Like Le'Veon Bell wasn't running 4.3s, right?
No.
So I think it depends on his knee surgery, that issue, that injury, right? But gun to my head, I say he comes back, but it's not something I would bet for sure. I think it's totally up for. I listened to the little mini snippet of the interview of him saying it, and I'm like, is he acting like this because he's excited and doesn't want to say he's coming back and like maybe take away from anything, or like he's excited that he's going to go pro and doesn't want to like piss people off that he's going pro? So who knows? We'll see.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot still to be decided with the portal and guys deciding if they're going to come back. And Corum is probably the big name we're kind of waiting on, right? Like
I think that's huge. Like the big name. I think him and Deuce are the big names that are.
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
Really
what do you think
possible.
About Deuce? What do you think? I think he stays.
I was just saying, I think he goes, but I could see it either way. It's because totally a 50.
I just feel like Deuce is one. Like I hate to even compare him like Darren Sproles, right? Like it's like the easy. He went to the same school, same kind of size and everything, but I just
what's
don't
the benefit
know.
Of him staying, right? Like it's literally Corum 2.0, right? Like I think,
but couldn't he have left last year?
No,
is he a junior?
I think he's a true junior right now.
Who the hell knows what people are anymore? Like
I'll take a quick look.
I thought he was a junior this year. Or I mean, last year.
Let's see.
But they had the
he's
COVID
a true junior.
Oh, he's a true junior. Okay,
so he didn't have the option.
So he couldn't go.
Okay. I could see it both ways. 100%.
Yeah.
I think for him, there's no better than like what he's going to get, right? Like there's no injury issues. There's no combine issues with Corum. There's no like Kansas State ain't going to compete for playoffs. So like I think there's some clear differences between Corum and him. And
okay, if you're him, do you play against Alabama?
What's that?
If you're him, let's say you're thinking pro, do you play against Alabama?
Because I would not. I don't think he's of the mentality to sit. I don't think he's that type of guy. I can't imagine a dude that's always been overlooked because of size and height or all that type of things that he would ever sit a game.
Yeah, he comes out,
but
and has a big game that might boost his stock.
I think he's fine either way. If I was him, I might sit that game.
Fair enough,
right? Look at his stats; they're insane.
Yeah, people are saying that Bryce should have sat and Will Anderson should have sat. Like maybe if you're, I don't want to go on too long about this, but you know, we sit here and think we know what these kids actually want.
This goes back to the very beginning, right? With the transfer portal.
About recruiting. Like what do these kids value? And like Will Anderson and Bryce Young, they want to play. And they want to play for the University of Alabama, and that's fine. I'm not ever going to sit there and say you made the wrong decision, like by playing a game. That's just me. I feel like I get it. I get like, oh, why would you put yourself in jeopardy for the NFL draft? Bryce Young's going top 5, whether he gets hurt or not. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. Like, unless it's like devastating.
Right. Like
Injury.
Willis McGahee type stuff.
Yeah.
I
like
think
it's
ultimately,
Will Anderson
like,
too. Will Anderson's a top 5 pick too. Like, why are we, like, I don't think good or bad game is going to make a difference.
I think ultimately I don't care. Like whatever they want to do, I don't have a problem. If they want to play it, I see people hate on Bryce Young for playing. I see people hate on players for sitting. It's like,
but here's the crazy part. If he sits, like you said, like he sits, people are, oh, he just bailed on his team. Like, yeah, but these bowl games, it's like these schools have bailed on these bowl games. Like, it's not even that like the coaches are bailing. It like the schools bail on them. Sometimes like the fan base bails on these bowl games. I literally heard somebody say, like, I work here in the South, in the Memphis area, right? Ole Miss is kind of the closest big school here. And where was Ole Miss playing? What bowl are they playing in?
They're playing Texas Tech.
But what bowl is it?
I don't know. It's something small.
But I heard somebody say, because they were asking, are you going to go to the Ole Miss? And they're like diehard Ole Miss fans, like supposedly diehard, in quote, Ole Miss fans. And they said, no, we're not going because it's not a good bowl. Like, the fan base even devalues the bowls. Like, if it's not playoff or not New Year's Six, they don't care. So
it's all a bunch of hypocritical type stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't personally care. Like I don't know what they're coming from, what they need in their life, or what they care about.
Right.
So how am I to judge? Whatever.
Right.
But
anyways. But anyway, that was a good hour, over an hour.
I was worried we wouldn't be able to get past 25 minutes. And here we are.
Well, my World Cup filler was really what got us here. But no, that was a good one. I really hope we can get Andrew back because he's got some topics he really wants to discuss.
We have all off season. We're not talking mock drafts or
no. He has some stuff. I want it while it's fresh March, on his mind. I don't want him to forget about it.
2 months. We have 2.5 months.
All right. But anyway, thanks guys for listening. Make sure you follow, join the Discord, like, subscribe to the YouTube, all that stuff. But until next week, guys, thanks and see you next week.
See you guys.